Hey guys, I hope you're doing good for the sub. Today is the intense day where I get to hike out of the Grand Canyon through like the most brutal switchbacks and stairs, and it is strenuous, and I am tired, and yay, I'll tell you all about it tomorrow or Thursday if there's a massive storm tomorrow. Um, so today you're going to be working on story problems, everyone's favorite. I've given you quite a few throughout the week to just kind of try and play with, but I want to do some direct instruction today actually on how to do them. And take a look at them. So first of all, here's your self-start. Solve and graph the inequalities. Divide both sides by -5. Because we divided by a -5, we flip the inequality so that x is greater than becomes less than -2. Here we're going to minus the 11 first. Do it to one side, we do it to the other, we get 2x is greater than or equal to -44. I go ahead and divide by 2, and that gives me x is greater than or equal to -22. I do not have to flip the inequality here because the 2 is positive, so I'm not flipping it. Okay? COVID means vacation 2020. Here we are at the Grand Canyon. I brought that beautiful picture. I emailed it yesterday so you could all see what we look like after 4 days of camping. Late work is due this Friday, and keep being good for the sub, or start being good for the sub if you haven't been. Today we review the self-start. We're going to learn about real life inequalities or story problems. Some keywords: budget. A budget is a max. And the max would be a less than sign because it's the max you can spend. So if it says something like she budgeted $200 for the Grand Canyon, that means the max I can spend is $200. But usually you can spend up to your budget. So really it would be a greater than or equal to, or excuse me, a less than or equal to sign. You can't go over your budget. At least. If you need at least, that's the minimum acceptable, but you could have that. So at least is actually a greater than. So an example is I need at least 6 hours of sleep after hiking. I would be okay with more hours of sleep, but I have to have at least 6. So that's a greater than. At most is the opposite. That would be a less than or equal to. At most, 0 of you are bad. That means less than or equal to 0 of you are bad. No more than is kind of a tricky one. No more than actually means less than or equal to. Okay, because no more than would be like no more than 12 students can play a game. Well, you can play the game with less than 12, but you can't play with more than 12. No less than means actually greater than. No less than 4 people can play a game. So you have to have at least 4 to play some games. Can you play with 4? Yes. If there's more, can you play? Yes. Fewer than. Fewer than, it means it has to be less. The minimum number acceptable would be a greater than. So it's kind of, you can see where it's kind of opposite what's intuitive. Because the minimum number has to be 5. That means it's got to be greater than 5. And the maximum is a less than. And where it gets tricky is you guys associate the words greater than with words that are big, like max and more. And you associate the word less than with words that are small, like fewer or minimum. And it's opposite when you're talking about inequalities, because the inequality gives you the absolute extreme that you can have. And so words that seem to say big numbers actually mean less than, and words that seem to mean small numbers actually mean greater than. Keep an eye on it, read it carefully, really think it through. Sometimes when I'm trying to figure it out, I'll do scenarios in my head. And I will go through and say, well, what if it was 13? Would that work? Okay, no, so it's got to be less than. And I kind of will just logic that way. Second tricky part is the more than and the less than questions. So 5 more than a number means x plus 5. 5 is more than a number, means x is greater than 5. 5 is no more than number means x is, sorry about the intercom, x is less than or equal to 5. And the number is always x, of course. X is no more than 5, or 5 is no more than a number. So then it's kind of opposite what you would think. But there you are. Less than has the same thing. 3 less than a number would be x minus 3. 3 is less than a number would be 3 is less than x. Oh, whoops. And 3 is no more than a number would be x is greater than or equal to 3. Excuse me. 3 is no less than 3. Yeah, I had that right. Okay. -3 times a number is no more than 21. What could the number be? So -3 times a number is no more than. So it could be less than 21. It could be 21. It just can't be more than 21. So that would be a less than or equal to sign, 21, and then solve it from there. 2 times a number is more than 8. More than 8. 2 times a number, more than 8. Okay, the Cache Valley Fun Park charges a one-time fee of $50 for a birthday party plus $250 for each guest. Bob McBobby, yay, Bob McBobby, has a budget of $100. How many guests can come and still be on budget? So $50 for a birthday party plus $250 for each guest, and the max he can spend, and we're assuming he can spend up to his budget because most people will spend up to their budgets, is $100. And don't worry about the parts and the total and all the other things. If you can get this equation and solve it, we're good. And for brevity in the video, I'm not solving them, but you can go through and solve them as well. A farmer already has 28 bales of hay and can harvest 24 bales each hour. So we're starting out, he's got 28 bales of hay, and he's adding 24 bales of hay each hour. We're assuming these are big bales, not the little bales. How many hours will it take to have at least 100 bales? So I'm guessing 100 bales would be a load, so he's trying to figure out how long until he can get a load. So at least 100. Is it okay if he's harvested some more? Yeah, that would actually probably be a good thing. But he's got to have at least 100, so 100 or more. Okay. And then to solve it, you'd minus the 28 divided by 24. A video game will cost a total of $49. So we've got the $49. That's the max. You already have $5. So you've got to have, is it okay if you have more than $49? Yeah, you can have more than $49 but you're going to have $5 plus $4 for times whatever you save each week. If you have more than $49, great, you can use it for other stuff too. Maybe you buy another video game or something, but your minimum is $49 to work. And then last one, -4 times a number is no less than 84. -4 times a number is not less than. If it's not less than, it could be greater than or equal to 84. Those ones are super tricky. Be cautious with them. Okay, I want to do a couple off of your homework. I'm going to pick question number 6. This is a tricky one with a lot going on. So first of all, his previous record is 20 minutes. So he's trying to beat 20, which means it's got to be greater than 20. Okay, he's already delivered 2 pizzas in 5 minutes. So he has a total of an hour. There's 60 minutes in an hour, which means he's got 55 minutes left in that hour. How many pizzas will he need to average per minute to beat his previous record? So then I'm going to go ahead and minus them. And then I divide 18 divided by 55. That is not right. And I initially looked at that and said, that doesn't feel right to me, but it actually is, because 18 divided by 55 is 0.32 per minute, which means he's delivering about 1/3 of pizza every minute, which translates to 3 pizzas or 1 pizza every 3 minutes, which would make sense given the problem, because the question asks how many pizzas per minute. If it was minutes per pizza, that would be a whole different story. Okay, let's do another one that's a little bit less tricky. I deliberately am picking out some of the tricky ones, but I want to make sure you feel okay. about it. Let's look at question number 13. Question 13 says Amy wants to order some DVDs from Amazon. Each DVD costs $8.49 and shipping for the entire order is $5. She only has $70 to spend. How many DVDs can she order? So she's got $5 for shipping plus $8.49 for each movie she buys. And the max she can spend is $70. Now we're assuming that it's not Prime eligible. And I know a lot of you are commenting right now, but we have Prime, and what about Prime? It's not Prime eligible. Sad story, but not everything on Amazon is Prime eligible. So then we get 65. Joshua. Sorry about the intercom again. And then I do 65 divided by 8.49. And that gives me, divided by 8.49 here, divided by 8.49 here. And I did the different divide sign than I usually do, but it means the same thing. And my answer is 7.656. Now, this is where math and the real world meet. You're not going to order 0.656 DVDs. You just can't. It doesn't make sense. So really, you're going to order, she can order at most 7. And a lot of times students will try and give me the answer of 7.656. And depending on what you're doing in math, that could be a good answer, but this is the more practical answer. So recognize both answers. I'd like to see both answers on your papers today. You got this. Do good. Be good. Help each other. Work through them. Show your work. Have a good day.